What be a timberman? Need be a wiki. Right. You know something they would never say?
What?
We in.
Oh, they wouldn't say that.
Oh, how you like that?
Yeah.
What it do, everybody? Welcome to the Chris and Kyle show. He's Chris.
Yeah.
And I'm Kyle.
I wasn't ready for it this time.
And this is spoilers for The Lighthouse. Happy Halloween, by the way. This is if we release this on time, it'll be Halloween when it comes out.
Yeah. Should be.
Yep. So happy Halloween, which means, more importantly, happy birthday, Jamie, our friend Jamie, born on Halloween.
Jameson Cunningham.
Yep.
Happy 27th year to you, sir.
Holy shit! Because you just turned that.
Mm-hmm.
Which means he's turning that, which means in like 4 months I'll turn
Unless
that.
he's like secretly like 4 years older than us. Like he's got some Buddy Hield situation.
He lied about his birthday.
Uh-huh.
Hey man, he was born in the Bahamas. They didn't write his birthday down right. Whatever.
If Jamie just like told me like out of nowhere, like he just like pulled me to the side and he was just like, hey, by the way,
I'm 40.
I was born in Antarctica. What? I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be slightly surprised.
Okay,
I'd be really surprised. But it would fit.
Well, that bit went nowhere.
But it would fit.
All right, let's talk about The Lighthouse. This is a film written and directed by Robert Eggers, who made The Witch with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, and they're basically the only two actors in the movie. There's also an actress who plays a mermaid briefly, and a dude who looks really scared like twice. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah, probably. For
They're the only people with. They're the only
like
people
5
with
seconds.
They're the only people with speaking lines.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there's actually the scene stealer, the bird, the gull.
Yeah,
Gets it's not technically speaking.
Predominant character.
Unless you speak bird, it's not a speaking line.
Yeah.
But that bird's definitely a character.
With some cameo appearances from some tentacles.
Yep.
A lighthouse.
I'd say The Lighthouse is more than a cameo. That's an important.
That's the main character. Okay, yeah, fair.
Bad weather.
So bad weather.
Yep.
Tentacles and mermaid vagina.
Yep.
Makes
That
just a
very explicit.
fleeting appearance.
A
in this
very
movie.
explicit look at the eternal question of how would you have sex with a mermaid? Like where do you put it? People wonder that. And Robert Eggers explores it
He answers that question.
in vivid detail.
How'd you like this movie?
I thought it was great. I really had a good time watching it. I was very gripped by it. I would say, like, from the very beginning, I think this is intentional, and I don't mean it in a bad way. It's claustrophobic. I feel stuck inside the movie. I feel stuck inside the lighthouse, and I feel stuck inside their.
I think that's somewhat intentional.
I feel stuck inside their collective spiraling, but not in a bad way. Like, it's an experience that, like, it's gripping.
And I just think that it's predominantly intentional.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's
absolutely
what he's trying to.
The one big, I mean, like, to get my flaws out of the way early, the only flaw that I would say is, like, glaring to me is that I wish I could watch it again with subtitles. It's not a knock against the performances of Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. They're both incredible, and I will not be surprised at all if they both end up with acting nominations once Oscar time comes.
Yeah.
But the accent is just so weird. That late 1800s wiki man accent that they're doing is such a weird, thick accent.
Yeah. It's not just the accents
and it's
performances.
the lexicon of language
Exactly.
they use is so weird.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
it's the style of dialogue.
They're almost speaking another language.
Absolutely. Like the lingo that they're using, all of these like weird idioms and phrases that they're using.
Which I think is great. I love it. I think it helps the environment of the movie.
I only did a modicum of research for this episode. When was it actually set?
The late 1800s.
Late 1800s, yeah.
sure,
So it's like also a period piece. So not only do you have this like very specific technical knowledge of like
in the
it's
not 1890s.
I mean, I was like getting, kind of PTSD.
Well, because you've been on a ship.
Well, because I've been on a ship and it
Enclosed like
has
that,
a
yeah.
very like similar vibe to that, like just the feel of the ocean and a lot of these. I've had to carry oil upstairs before.
Yeah.
So
Did you know there was a smaller can that you could use to do it?
Well, I mean,
And then a kind of mean older guy told you about
that
it
exactly
after you
didn't
finished
happen.
lugging it all the way up the stairs.
but I've had to carry like obnoxious amounts of oil around.
Have you ever had to wheelbarrow coal across an island while pouring rain?
No, I don't think that there's any coal on
That's good.
naval vessels.
I'm glad.
Now. Okay, so out of the two of us, I'm the only one who's seen Robert Eggers' previous film, The Witch.
Yes, this is true.
I would say that I like this movie more than I did The Witch.
You
but
mentioned
a lot
that you loved the first like half hour of The Witch, and then it kind of fell off a bit for you.
True. I think that this movie is more enjoyable than The Witch. It has like I would say that it has more pros. It has a lot of the same pros, but a lot of the same cons as well.
Okay.
So one of the things with The Witch that kind of wore down on me was the fact that it didn't have any levity. It was just like completely
This movie's
serious.
funny.
This movie
is funny.
This movie is funny, right? But there's also like I think cons that come out of like really forced levity too. What did you think about the fart jokes?
I don't get bothered by them. I mean, there weren't that many
So-
of them.
I don't have any problem with scatology and fart jokes. I don't have any
I
problem
don't know
with
what
them.
scatology is.
Like fucking really like offensive, crude, brash humor,
Okay.
right? Like I have no problem with that. I have a problem when it's like displayed in a way that's just like the bully thing, you know, like when I've seen it like a bunch of times. So like,
I mean, there was
an
only
old
maybe
guy
like
farting. Like I find farts funny. Like when I'm watching an NBA
I love
game,
your impassioned defense of the fact that you.
Well, 'cause, like-
listen, man, I think farts are funny. I
like-
swear,
I do.
I like farting.
I think
It's funny.
farting is funny. But when I'm watching an NBA game, right, and I see like the bench like clear out a little bit, and there's all separating away from one person, and they're all hiding their collective noses and their.
It's a very random
and their
example,
shirts.
but okay.
No,
Okay.
but like I find it really fucking funny.
Mm-hmm.
I find situations like that funny, but when it's just kind of like thrown into movies like this, especially one like this that's like just so incredibly well thought out. And then like the fart jokes like are just displayed in like, oh, like look, we're doing fart jokes. I feel like that's like kind of one
I
of the
feel like they weren't like predominant enough to be bothered by. There's like 3 of them.
dog. You got like 3 fart jokes in a movie that like you wrote into the movie, like, and you're intentionally putting in fart jokes that are just like.
But it's not like
it's
not like
Robert Pattinson even talks about the farts,
Yeah,
right?
But it's like, especially early on, I think it's part of it's establishing early on just a multitude of things that Robert Pattinson hates about Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah,
and
and part of it is that he's a stinky old man.
Yeah, and I'm okay with him like being a disgusting old man. I think
By
that
the
there's
way,
a lot of ways that they
fuck
showed
having
that.
to use little pots for the bathroom.
Right,
That's terrible.
right, yeah, and yeah, there's a lot of just grossness in this movie that
yeah.
I think that they got across without having to do the whole fart thing. I think that the funniest parts of the movie aren't the fucking fart jokes.
No, they're not. They're
Yeah.
not at all. The funniest part of the movie, I thought the fucking a steak line is hysterical. I died at that line.
Yeah,
That whole scene is really
but
funny.
it's the weird
What?
character moments.
What?
What? But
Yeah.
I also enjoyed that because like it. So it's all of the really good character moments that I found the funniest, and the stuff that kind of like plays into the theme. Like, yeah, sure, like these farts are showing how disgusting Willem Dafoe's character is. Yeah, but that like what thing that they were both doing to each other was something that like came out of the straight boredom and anger that they had for each other. You know, because they were just, and then like right after that they were cuddling. You know, like
And then it looks like they're about to make
out.
out at one point.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was weird.
So, like I said, I enjoyed this more than The Witch. I think that there was, I would say the same pros.
Beautifully shot.
The cinematography is by far.
It's fucking bonkers good.
It's so incredible.
Shout out to the Hark scene.
So
the lighting on Willem Dafoe's face in the Hark monologue, which I think is the best part of the movie. like
That
in
monologue?
terms of like that's going to be the thing they show at the Oscars when they say nominated for Best Actor, Willem Dafoe. That's going to be the clip they show. Him yelling "Hark" and then going on that 2-minute monologue cursing Robert Pattinson in some ancient sea curse in the name of the god Triton. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so I would say the cinematography is just gorgeous. The movie's
There's some
beautiful.
other options for best part though. Keep going.
Okay. The dialogue, I really enjoy.
I think it's really interesting. That's why.
dialogue.
That's part of the reason I want to see it with subtitles because I want to be able to appreciate it more.
But that's something that The Witch also had. It had like it was also a period piece.
Oh, okay.
And you could just it felt so authentic and so real, and fucking the there's also really good performances in The Witch as well. Another thing that I really don't like, other than that The Witch had, as well as the Lighthouse had, was needless is too strong of a term, but it's almost like there's an unfocused ambiguity, right? Like, and
we don't really know what is Robert Pattinson's character hallucinating, dreaming, actually experiencing. There's the weird part when he climbs up the stairs of the lighthouse and he sees Willem Dafoe like naked. And then it looks like cum is coming down, and then it looks like a snake. There's some weird shit.
Yeah. But it's not just like whether or not Robert Pattinson is hallucinating or not. Because like I think that aids to the theme really well because he's literally going crazy, right?
That's what the movie's about,
right? But I think that like it's almost like it's an overdose on mythology and symbology.
Okay.
Like,
I kind of like that part a lot.
I enjoy a lot of movies that have that, right? But I think that it's unfocused is what I'm saying, right? What I'm like, I've been trying to articulate this for a bit, right? Because obviously like the idea of this movie is something that I like more than the movie itself. When you tell me that, like, okay, I'm going to give you a beautifully shot black and white movie with fucking Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe.
Weird, what's it called?
In a restricted narrative, right? And it's just going to be a lot of, like, weird fucking character work. There's going to be horror elements and a lot of mythology and symbology. And there's going to be...
And it's going to be funny.
And there's going to be elements of levity to it as well, right? I'm like, fuck yeah, sign me up, right? Now, I don't think that it's necessarily... a discredit against the film as much as it is something that I probably it's not for me as much.
It's just taste,
right? The Witch had a lot of this where I'm constantly at the end of the film I know that the person that made the film made it completely ambiguous on purpose, right? And not in a way that like was incredibly focused.
Can you
understand what I'm saying?
Can you define what you mean by ambiguous? What is ambiguous to you?
So ambiguous to me is it's hard to not it's hard to not bring in other things to give more context into what I'm trying to describe here without spoiling other things, right?
What are the things?
So there are things, there's a lot of symbology and shit and references and allusions. So there's tons of illusions.
I mean, the shot of naked Willem Dafoe with the light is a literal painting.
It's a literal painting. Yeah, sure. There's a lot of illusions and shit, right?
Yeah.
But what is it adding up to is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Right? And I think Robert Eggers is literally saying like, oh, I don't give a shit. He's literally said it about this film.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't really care about like, giving an explanation to my work as much as like, but I'm not even sure if he really knows what it means. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like if all of this adds up to a single conclusion, a single.
So
message.
are you looking for like not is theme's not the right word. Like are you looking for a moral?
No.
I'm just a little confused by what you mean.
Okay, so
I'm confused by what you need defined to lose the ambiguity.
Okay. Do you think that it's ambiguous? Do you think this movie is ambiguous?
I mean, no, I don't. I wouldn't use that word to describe it.
You wouldn't use this. You wouldn't use ambiguous to describe the lighthouse.
Because like ambiguous to me is just basically like you. I mean, I guess yeah, it is, but I wouldn't have thought to use ambiguous. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like you connected? Obviously, these characters aren't likable. I wouldn't say either of these characters are likable. Did you feel like
you want to like Robert Pattinson, but you just can't? Or at least that's how I found myself.
Okay, I didn't really feel like I wanted to.
It might just be because he's Robert Pattinson.
I was just like, oh, I enjoy watching him.
Yeah,
and
I would definitely say that. I like them because I enjoy watching them.
I think that's probably the most. I'll try to describe it through my experience instead of trying to intellectualize it, right? Because I can't bring in other movies for context in order to give it like sort of the antithesis of what I'm talking about, so that it could better articulate what I'm talking about. So I'll talk about my experience more and like the actual emotional. It's almost like there's an absence of catharsis, right? There's like when I'm watching the movie, I don't necessarily think that you have to like I have to completely connect or find a character likable, right? But I like a modicum of connection, right? So like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, there's a modicum of connection there, right? Like, and you know, yeah, there's a lot of clunky ways that they, you know, made me sort of connect to his character, but there is still like an emotional resonance there with his character. Whereas like these guys, when I'm watching this movie, it's kind of like in Miss Stevens, when Timothy Chalamet is giving the
his monologue
for the Death of a Salesman, that Death of a Salesman monologue. You don't know Death of a Salesman, right?
No, but I know the scene you're talking about.
Yeah, you understand the scene. But do you understand the context of what he's saying and shit?
No.
Right? So it doesn't really matter what he's saying. You're the entire time you're just like, oh, this is a really good performance. That's how I felt when I was watching The Lighthouse.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, right? So like it's like, oh, like I don't really have any context to like what any of this really means, you know, like, and like I understand like what they're feeling, right? Like I understand that he's supposed to be, you know, going crazy and feeling claustrophobic and shit like that, but I didn't necessarily feel that.
He's also like haunted by his own actions.
The entire time I'm more just
impressed with them performing.
I'm just like, oh, look at how beautiful this scenery is, and look at how beautiful these performances are. Whereas like it's not as much of an experience.
I can see where you're coming from.
You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever thought about it that way. I don't know if I agree or disagree or not.
And like I said, I don't think that's like a knock against the movie as a whole.
Yeah.
I just think that that's why it's not going to be on my top 5 of the year. Probably not going to be on my top 10. I don't want to watch this movie again.
I want to just because I want to watch it with subtitles. Like I want to know what they're saying exactly.
Yeah. You're also going to have to pull up Google and fucking figure out exactly.
Yeah, what are some of these? Yeah, what the fuck is a wiki? I don't know. I'm assuming it's like
just
a lighthouse worker.
Yeah, a person that works at a lighthouse.
Yeah. But why do they call him a wiki? I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess a wick to a candle, so the lighthouse is like a candle and you're the wick?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I like that. What's a wiki? What are some of the other like highlights of it to you? I mean, we talked a little bit about the Hark monologue. That's like it's fucking beautiful. The way it's shot, the performance, all of it. I thought another really good scene is when Robert Pattinson kills the gull. That goes on for a long time. And it's like kind of one of those things where you're just like, please stop. I don't want to see this shot anymore. But you can keep going, but please stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not sure if I was bothered as much. It's definitely definitely, especially if you're someone
especially because like
I don't like birds either.
But like
that's that
part of it is cathartic. Part of it,
I fucking hate birds.
Part of it is because like I believed Willem Dafoe. I was like, if he kills that gull, he's gonna bring some curse upon himself.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, you fucked up, dude. You done fucked up.
Oh, okay. I enjoyed, and yeah, I'm just. This is another thing that I'm not sure if it just the whole decision to do this kind of like brought me out of the movie because I'm just like, oh, they're actually doing this when fucking Willem Dafoe is giving like that mini monologue when he's getting buried to death, basically.
Yeah, I love that.
And the fucking dirt
That
is
shot
coming
is
into his face.
it's amazing.
You can tell that Willem Dafoe
Yeah.
is literally having dirt fucking
Yeah.
He's being buried
It's
alive.
going in his mouth. It's
going
getting in his
mouth, and
eyes.
He's continuing,
and
to
he's just
fucking-
acting through it. It's
Yeah.
amazing. That's that, and the shot's really
the
tight
kind
on
of,
him.
Fucking just balls that it takes for the dude, for Robert Eggers to be like, yo, Willem Dafoe,
You down
I
with
know
this?
that. Yeah, you're. Can you do this? We're just gonna fucking throw dirt.
I feel
on
like
your
if
face.
you ask Willem Dafoe, like, can you do that? He's like, who the fuck do you think I
you-
am?
well, but like-
I'm Willem fucking Dafoe.
But are you willing? Not like
No,
can you
no,
do this
but,
ability.
yeah.
But will you do this?
I know what you mean, and I
Yeah.
think like he's like, I'm Willem fucking Dafoe. Of course I will.
Yeah. Yeah. So not only the conviction that it takes for fucking Robert Eggers to ask Willem Dafoe to do that, but for Willem Dafoe to actually go
And then
through with that.
kill it
Yeah.
and kill it.
That was really impressive. I enjoyed that. But
Would it-
like I said, like at this, there, I'm not like being drawn emotionally or like I've talked about engagement before, right?
Uh huh.
And that's the thing that like I really look for in movies.
So
and
like,
television.
do you wish there was more in the like the dinner scenes? Do you wish there was more character work being done? Do you wish there was more of those scenes?
So I think that there's a few things that I would really enjoy. I think that this because
because I think that's
I
what
think-
those scenes are for.
it's almost like I'm like more excited for his next film because it seems like he's getting better at it, right? But The Witch had like zero fucking like versatile rhythm to it.
Okay.
Right? Like Alex Garland when he's talking about fucking Ex Machina and fucking when the disco non sequitur gets brought up and you know Oscar Isaac is doing his little dance
Yeah.
and stuff and people kind of ask him why he throws that in there and he's
Because it's
like
dope. That's why.
well it's to throw up the rhythm.
Well, and
he's trying to
Ex
mix-
Machina is very rhythmic. It's session. Let's talk about the session. Session. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
session. Yeah.
yeah
And this is kind of. I actually thought about that while I was watching it. It's very much. Let's watch Robert Pattinson do horrible manual labor and be miserable, and then let's have dinner, and then let's watch him be miserable, and
Yeah.
then let's have dinner.
yeah
Yeah. Do you not like my cooking? That shit's so fucking funny.
yeah
So leading into the ambiguity thing, like, does the last shot have something to do with that?
so I mean there's constant allusions and shit like that throughout the entire movie.
When
I
you
think
say
that one
allusions,
was
you
an-
mean allusions to other art pieces and other
Yeah.
stories
So-
and to mythology.
yeah
Yeah.
references to other artwork, like especially fucking Greek mythology, and because that last shot was literally fucking Prometheus, right?
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, so you know what Prometheus is, right? We
He's
talked
a dude
about
who
this
found
in the Ex
fire.
Machina accident. Yeah, so he's the person who stole fire from the
Yeah.
gods and brought it down to the
Yeah.
people, right? And this story is actually like very close to the Promethean myth, right? If you're looking at Robert Pattinson as if he is Prometheus,
He's trying to steal the fire, which is to
And-
tend to the lighthouse.
and
to
Willem
the light at the
Dafoe,
top of the house.
if you're looking at Willem Dafoe as the god who's
Okay.
protector of the light,
Okay.
right? The light is the fire, right? Robert Pattinson literally fucking has to defeat the god in order to get into where the light is, the fire is, right? Once he sees that fire, and this is also like a symbol for like knowledge as well. He sees the fire and fucking falls down back to
Yeah.
earth, and ends up getting his liver, his intestines fucking
Yeah,
pecked
it's
out
like
by a
almost
bird
exactly. That's
on a
true.
rock. You know,
Yeah.
it's like literally. It's very.
I guess the
funny.
thing that it was just, I was like, why did it open? And it's just that's very ambiguous. Of like the lighthouse stops spinning and it opens and it looks like a Renaissance painting of him
Yeah.
like reaching into it with this look of like disbelief on his face,
Right.
and it's like, what is that? You know what I mean?
Right. Okay, so I mean, I'll go into this a little bit, and like this is gonna sound kind of harsh, right? There's like, I don't know. To me, it's almost like there's a hierarchy of work ethic that when it comes into art, right? So there's plenty of art that you can see in like a lot of like contemporary art museums and shit where you're like, okay, like
Like
I understand
the modern art joke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like when and
Yeah.
you walk into a fucking what is it? The fucking Museum of Contemporary Art that's out here in L.A. There's some fucking dope museums out here in L.A. The fucking Museum of Contemporary Art is whack as shit, dude. So you walk into a room in there, right? And there's like just a bunch of like items. You would think it's a fucking
trash.
yard sale. You
Yeah.
would think it's a yard sale. There's a bunch of bikes. There's a grandfather clock on the wall, and like that's it. Like that's the art piece, right? It's like this is all put together by one person. You know, a bunch of shoes. Like
That's where it's like a saying modern art in like a disingenuous way as a punchline.
right. But like it's almost like there's a degree of like, oh, well, I'm being intentionally ambiguous in order to, you know, get a point across, right?
Mm-hmm. Seems like a misnomer to me. Being ambiguous to make a point.
You mean like oxymoronic? Like it's
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
counterintuitive?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But I think that there's like, to a lesser extent, a kind of, so like it's almost like the easiest thing that you can do with a movie is be like completely unambiguous, right? And you're like, oh, well, maybe even before that. So like you can be like try to be completely unambiguous, right? And be like, oh, I'm going to tell a straight story. And then all of like the shit that like doesn't add up, you're like, oh, well, that's being ambiguous, right? So like you're like trying to you're just lying, right? And then there's like
That's not a loophole. It's me being ambiguous.
And there's like being completely unambiguous, right? And just telling a straightforward story. And then there's like the next level where it's like you have some you have a level of fucking unambiguity and then a level of ambiguity, right? Like, so there's like just multiple layers of
Would you say the Lighthouse is the next step?
no
after that?
No, I would say it's like just right below that where it's just
Okay.
like the entire thing is ambiguous.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe like 20%, like you understand that, you know, Robert Pattinson is going crazy. So you have that context. You have the
You understand he's escaping his own past.
you understand that there's specific allusions to paintings and to mythology, right?
You understand that Willem Dafoe like used to be a sailor, but he hurt his leg and he can't anymore, and he kind of has this superiority complex because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not like I don't know. I don't feel like this is a movie that like anyone can completely understand. And yeah, sure, like there's probably.
Do you think that that's bad?
Well, here's the thing. I think that there's probably plenty of movies that I could watch that could be exactly like that, and I could absolutely enjoy. But when I'm trying to like ascribe a reason as to why I'm not engaging with this fully, it might also just be because I'm too dumb. Like I think Robert Eggers is
He's definitely smarter than you.
He's definitely really smart, and he makes a lot of fucking. There's just a lot of illusions that he's going to throw at you, and fucking no one is going to pick up 100% of them, especially not on the first go around.
Yeah, you have to be really well versed in like art and mythology to catch all the
Really
references that are
specific
going.
things,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like
Really
if I hadn't
specific
seen the picture on Twitter of, you know, the naked god with the light thing, I never would have known that the shot of Willem Dafoe
Was based on
based on a piece of art. I would be like, that was a crazy, random, weird shot they put in there. Look great. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. I'm glad that I saw it.
It's definitely worth experiencing.
For certain people. I think that there would be a lot of people that are just like, what the fuck? I'm
That's
really
true.
surprised. So I'm not surprised that it's a 91% from critics. I'm not
It's like
surprised by that.
71 from the audience, though.
But yeah, I'm really surprised that like a majority of audience members are really enjoying this.
Now,
I would have guessed they
how
would be
much.
around 50.
So wait, how much of that do you think is because it's a limited release right now,
and
only
that are-
people are going to go see the Lighthouse are the type of people who are probably going to enjoy the Lighthouse,
yeah, true. That's fair. And
and
it's also,
Pete Davidson fans.
And it's also like, even though I have gripes with the film, if I have to give it a thumbs up or thumbs down, I'm giving it a thumbs up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's
Absolutely.
it's a well-made movie.
That's true.
I mean, it's the same thing with The Witch. I've talked shit about The Witch, and I think that The Witch is not as good as this movie. I still recommend The Witch. You know, like I think that it does a lot of really like specific things. I mean, there's one scene in that film that like just I keep going back to, and it was like one of the reasons why I enjoyed the beginning of that film
Yeah.
so much. Do you feel like a lot happens in The Lighthouse?
No, almost nothing happens.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know if you ever seen the movie Our Idiot Brother with Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's like a...
Isn't Amy Poehler in that? Or Tina Fey, one of them? Maybe?
Isn't it Rashida Jones?
She might also be in it.
Right.
She definitely is.
Yeah, the only people I can think of are
Just
Paul
talk
Rudd.
about it.
But
Talk-
the one
yeah.
thing that I remember about Our Idiot Brother is that it had like the I want to say like for the first half of the movie, I'm like, oh, nothing is really happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And then like this sort of causal narrative kind of sneaks up on you. We're like, oh, these things are kind of like coming together. I feel like this movie kind of has that as well.
Okay. Sneaky Sterling K. Brown appearance in that movie.
Sterling K. Brown's in that movie.
Yeah.
Huh?
Shout out.
That's cool.
That's the most, like, if you were like, guess one comedy actor who's in Our Idiot Brother, I would have said Adam Scott. That's like the type of movie he shows up in.
Yeah.
Zoe Deschanel and Elizabeth Banks are in it as well. I don't know
Zooey
why I
Deschanel.
thought Amy Poehler was in it. Anyway.
I always find it weird now that I've seen so much New Girl. Like when I see Zoe Deschanel and other things, like I forgot that she was an elf. It's like one of my favorite
Blonde
Christmas
Zoe
movies.
Deschanel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, that's Zoe Deschanel.
And she's like,
I'm like, who's that
and
girl?
she's like kind of mean.
I'm like, who's
It's
that
not
girl?
Jess. All right.
Do you have anything else about this movie?
I don't think so. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great experience. I think especially in a movie theater, I think it's a really good movie to see on a big screen just so you can take in the, like we talked about, like the cinematography of it and the beauty of it.
Yeah.
I
And-
kind of was afraid of the black and whiteness, but it didn't bother me at all. Because, like, you know me, I'm I hate all old movies. I hate them all. I'm a terrible person.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. I hate everything.
Right.
I'm a monster. If a movie was made before 2015, it sucks.
But you would like if it was just the whiteness.
Of course, because I'm a racist, is what you're getting at there. Because there's so much in my history that
was the
implies
joke.
that. Yeah.
That was the joke.
That's a good joke.
That's my new bit, dude.
Yeah.
Just
your
like
new bit? That's
Just
your
like-
that's your new bit?
No, just like agreeably. I've been doing it for like maybe like the last like 5 episodes. We've done, maybe like the past 2 months. Whatever. Let's
Agreeably
wrap this up.
insulting?
Yeah, like agreeably trying to like undercut your morality
Why you gotta do that?
because it's funny.
We'll see. All right. We're clearly going insane. Next week, we just did this last night. We planned it all out. Zombieland. Pew Pew 2 Double Tap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I said Pew Pew. With all of the Oscar nominees in it. I still think that's good marketing. I think that's a good marketing strategy. It's funny.
Huh.
That movie's been out now for a couple weeks. We haven't seen it yet, but we're going to do our episode on it next week. Next month, prepare, or I guess starting tomorrow when this comes out, there's going to be a lot of spoiler episodes next month because I am going out of town at one point, and then Chris is going out of town at another point. So we're going to stockpile a bunch of spoiler episodes to do while we're out of town. There's going to be a poll up for it's going to be a quick turnaround poll for one of the episodes, and it's going to be 2 movies that are streaming on Netflix right now that are complete opposite movies, but they're both streaming on Netflix and they're both new. So, and we've talked about both of them before on the pod. So Dolomite Is My Name, the Eddie Murphy movie, and The King, starring Timothy Chalamet, Joel Edgerton.
You're about to go. You're about to
Timothée.
go ham on it.
I don't know if you're supposed to or not.
And then you pull it back.
From now on, he is Timothy Timothée Chalamet until we learn otherwise.
Timothy Gary Harris.
Yeah, Tim Chalamet, Joel Edgerton, Robert Pattinson. Really good cast in that movie. It's a go through of like a bunch of different Shakespeare works called The
Yeah.
King.
That
That and
Dolomite wins.
Dolomite. Oh, you're breaking the rules.
What?
No influencing the poll.
Yeah, but you have no idea whether or not it's going to.
Fuck you.
I hope it wins.
You
They
just,
can do with it. Do
now
do
who's
what you want with that,
ambiguous?
as you will.
Now who's ambiguous? All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hit us up on the social medias. ChrisMichaelStott.com. Read Chris's scripts. Chris Michael Stott on Instagram. I am Davinwell25 on Twitter and Instagram. The show, The Chris and Kyle Show, on YouTube, on all podcasting platforms, on Instagram, on Facebook. tcaks Pod on Twitter. Vote for the poll on Facebook and Twitter. We will see you next week. We out.
We out. Stay weird.